something that kind of took me back just a little bit, and I'm a little shocked, I guess is what I would put it. It's called something called furries.
That was a Nebraska state senator. His name is Bruce Bostelman, and he is very concerned about furries infiltrating public schools in his state. Now, unfortunately, he fell for a bit of a hoax here, and he later admits it. But before he admitted it, he engaged in some fear mongering about the furry community. Let's hear what he had to say.
If you don't know what furries are, it's where school children dress up as animals, cats or dogs, during the school day. They meow and they bark, and they interact with their school, with the teachers and that in this fashion. And now schools are wanting to put litter boxes in the schools for these children to use. How is this sanitary? I even heard from one person here recently said that a student identified as a cat and wanted a litter box. And the school didn't provide the litter box, so the student went ahead and defecated on the floor. Really? Really?
I don't know what it is about the Republican Party's weird obsession with bodily functions, but anytime they want to fearmonger about any given community, that's usually what they go to, right? It's always about, oh, transgender bathrooms and furries want to poop on the floor. Like they have interesting imaginations, to say the least. Now, he says really as if this is like a verified incident, a verified story. But of course, it's not verified and it's nonsense. Hours after his remarks, Bostelman backtracked and acknowledged that the story wasn't true. He said he checked into the claims with State Senator Lynn Walls, a Democrat who leads the legislature's education committee, and confirmed there were no such incidents. In fact, he was quoted as saying, "It was just something I felt that if this was really happening, we needed to address it and address it quickly. I think you might need to address the verification of this incident prior to bringing it up and making a fool out of yourself." But I mean, look, they're primed, right? Like the right-wing lawmakers in this country are primed and conditioned to fall for these types of hoaxes because they're scared of everything and everyone. They think everyone's engaging in like all sorts of nefarious sexual activity or all sorts of nefarious, bodily functions. And it's just, calm down, bro. I know the world's a little scary for you, but just double check and make sure that what you're about to fearmonger about in an official setting is something that actually took place. But he can't help himself. It's the same kind of mentality, if you ask me, when it comes to shooting first, asking questions later. You're so scared that you have no problem, shooting, firing around, and then figuring out whether or not the person you just shot to death posed as a real threat to you. It's the same kind of thinking.
Yeah, 100%. But there's a surprising twist here, which actually answers the question you're asking, Anna. So we did a story on this a while back. It was one of my favorite stories. And it was a meta study on conservatives and progressives and how they think, not just in America, but across the world, because it's just, those are two different types of brains, honestly. And fear was the second biggest driver for conservatives. Number one is what I'm gonna get to in a second, which explains a lot of this, okay? But first on this guy, he says, I love his excuse. He's like, well, look, if it was happening, it would be really serious. That's why I thought we had to address it. Okay, well, I could go on a long speech about, hey, you know what? We have to stop this epidemic of people eating each other's faces, biting it off and chewing it and then doing sexual things with it. Well, yeah, if that was true, that would be really problematic, but it isn't true. So I don't think I should do a big speech on it, right? I mean, under that idea, you can say anything in the world, but imagine if it were true. Okay, which could be the Republican slogan. Imagine if it were true. So what I'm amazed by, Anna, is how these guys never do any homework. They're the laziest people in America. like the more outrageous the charge, the more you should look into it, right? Sometimes there'll be things on our side that goes to prove our point, but it'll be a little outrageous. And in our production meeting, we'll all be like, okay, let's double check, let's triple check, because that sounds amazing. Is that really true? And by the way, half the time it turns out it is true. They're really nuts, right? And some of the time it turns out, no, it's not. Once you do fact checking, you find out, oh, that's not a reliable source, et cetera, right? The right wing does none of that. They're like, oh, the kids are pooping in the hallways because they're all furries now. Don't have to double check at all. Let's go to the floor of the state legislature and give a big speech about it. They're amazing. I mean, Republican voters, don't you care about anything? So you don't mind if your politicians lie to you at all. That's amazing. And you don't mind if they don't even bother fact checking anything. They don't do their homework. They're incredibly lazy. You don't mind that either. I don't know what you mind. Okay,
they love being scared. It's really fascinating. Like it's almost as if they enjoy being spooked by things, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Maybe hating on the transgender community is getting a little played out for them. Maybe they need, maybe they're desensitized to it at this point. They need like a new boogeyman, and now they're going after furries. Which, by the way, I think it's pretty defamatory to like smear furries as individuals who like to take dumps on the floor. Like, where did that even come from?
That's the same place where they make up everything. I don't know, some idiot's imagination that he puts it on Facebook or a subreddit or 4chan, and then every Republican in the country instantly believes it. It doesn't matter what it has to be. And this guy, he said in his speech, the furries are specifically school children. Are they? They're not. Why didn't you, like if you're gonna say that, I would think if I was gonna put that in a speech, I'd be like, I should probably check to see if it's just school children. That doesn't sound quite right? Nope. Fact checking is for liberals. Okay, facts is for left wing. So anyways, now to explain why they're obsessed with bodily functions. So in that study of the different ways that our brains are structured, it turns out the number one trigger for the right-wing mind is not fear, it's disgust. So they are, and this one I realized this a long time ago, and I had read something similar. I think it might have been in an anthropology class. Anyways, some people are obsessed with grooming. That's why you'll see it in a lot of the religions, right? You must have a beard, you can't have a beard. This is how you need to put this on your hair, you can't put that on your hair. And all of these different rules around grooming, because for the conservative mind, that human emotion of disgust triggers them beyond imagination. So that's why when you say, hey, they poop on the floor, they're like, oh, that's it, I'll believe anything you say. Let's have at them, right? That's the best way to trigger conservatives. Number two was fear. And look, guys, in your daily lives, if we all just got society to understand this, everybody would be infinitely better off. You wanna know how conservative thinks? They think that they're just more scared than us. And so that's why, and they're more irrational than us, since it's about emotion and not logic. That's why you can't talk sense to them. You can't say, hey, listen, Trump lost 60 cases in a row. He didn't present a single piece of evidence. They're like, no, you're talking logic. I don't care about that. If you said to him, oh yeah, Trump says that there's gonna be massive dumps. Okay, oh, dumps, what is that? Oh, okay, yeah, I'm in, whatever it is, I'm in, right? And so, oh, the Democrats are doing pedophilia or child sex rings out of a pizza parlor's basement and stuff. They're like, that's it, I know it. They're just emotional, fragile people that are easily triggered by disgust and fear. That's all conservatives are.
Yep. And unfortunately, they do damage by exploiting that fear. They do damage to innocent people who are just trying to live their lives. And they want to take away rights from individuals, right? We've seen it happen with the LGBTQ community. And now I guess they want to go after furries, which is just insane.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.